The BlokeBusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Pod Bros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts, such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the BlokeBusters podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Film for Thought, and this one's a bit of a special one. I came up with this idea a little while ago to have people on from other podcasts and have them talk about their favorite film or a film that they hate or both. And someone actually agreed to do it, and he's here right now. It is On a Night from the Soiled Retro Cinema podcast. How are you doing, sir?
I'm sober. So you're catching me I don't know if you're catching me at a good time or not, but great to be here. I guess I'm the guinea pig.
Yes, you are, and such a cute little guinea pig you are as well. Very good.
Well, thank you, sir.
Oh, no problem. All right, so I think we'll start with the film that you like. I do not know what this is, so I'm going to try and guess the genre that you have picked. I'll probably be completely wrong, but I think this will be interesting.
Nope.
So, based on what little I know about you, I'm going to say it's either an action film or a Western film.
Those are two good choices. Action film is probably my favorite genre. Action adventure, I should say. Films are my favorite genre films to watch. So you're not off the mark on that. However, it's neither one of those, believe it or not.
Okay, what is it then?
It's actually the horror genre. We're going to dip into the horror genre.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say there's a lot of classic horror films and there's a lot of really good recent ones, so I'm not sure what it's going to be. So you may as well put me out of my misery. What did you pick?
Oh, there's also a lot of bad ones, too. And if you listen to our show, you know we flushed quite a few of those. So
yes, you have.
This time we get to turn the tables and give you something good. I went with 1973, The Legend of Hell House, which I consider the best haunted house film ever done, believe it or not. I'm going to put this one above and beyond. Have you seen this one, Paul?
I haven't even heard of this.
Oh, excellent. Well, there you go. See, that's the whole damn point of your show, isn't it?
Exactly. All right, so why don't you sell me on this? Why should I see this film?
You should well, if you're a fan of the horror genre, you definitely see it. If you're a fan of haunted house films, you should absolutely see it. And there are a lot of classic haunted house films that come to mind. Poltergeist is the more modern one back in 1983. That's what kind of everybody knows. There's the Haunting of Hill House, which is way back in the day, even before this one, which a lot of people accredit that. There's the Movie House, which came out in 1985, which was more a comedic take on that. We've seen a lot of haunted house films, and they vary in degree, and they're all very good in their own right. But there's just one that's actually, but none of them are terrifying. That was the problem. None of them are really terrifying to get under your skin, and this is the one that does. The 1973 Legend of Hell House is directed by John Howe, but more importantly, it's written by an author named Richard Matheson, who is a novelist, and it's based on his film, his novel, I should say, called Hell House. And he's written, if you look up his credits, he's written for everything from Twilight Zone to Night Gallery. He's got a long history of horror and science fiction writing over the course of the years.
I don't know that much about horror from this era, so it's going to be interesting to hear about this one.
Yeah. And it's a British film. This is a completely British production, and I forget the British company's name that produces. I'm sorry, it was Academy Pictures Corporation. I'm sorry, it was Academy Pictures Corporation. This is one of these early 70s British films that are just creepy just by looking at it. These are the ones that turned up on your TV, at 11:30 at night after the nightly news. And, if you happen to be up and the only thing that was on was these films that they had licensed and then local stations would just put them on. This was that kind of film. I don't even know if it played well in the theater when it came out in 73. But it comes from a long line of British films. There was Amicus films. There was the Hammer horror films. It's in that same kind of vein, but it was just a different production company.
I was going to say, I think most people are going to be familiar with Hammer because that's the most iconic horror coming out of England in that era from that time. Especially you got Christopher Lee and the like being in that side. So yeah, I can't say I've heard of that production company either. So this is completely new to me.
Wow, completely new to me. So, like I said, it's based on Richard Matheson's classic novel, which was called Hell House. And the film concerns 4 paranormal investigators, kind of like Ghostbusters in a sense, who are contracted by an eccentric millionaire. Basically, somebody hires them to find the evidence of life after death in the famous Belasco Mansion in the film. And the line that sets it up is when the lead team leader is talking to the millionaire who hires them. The millionaire says it's considered to be the Mount Everest of haunted houses. That's the line he drops, and that's what sells it. Because man, when you see it after the film, you really agree with that statement, and that's what really caught me in the film. Like, because all these haunted house films are haunted for different reasons, and to varying degrees. Where there's demon possession, or built over an Indian burial ground, or just from a comedic standpoint in the house, I should say. But here, like they're saying, this is the one. This is the one single house. That is the scariest or biggest or most haunted, however you want to classify that. So that's what catches you first off.
It's kind of cool. I mean, I know of, say, House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah, that was made.
Yeah, because although that one, I believe, when you're watching it, you're never 100% sure if it's actually haunted or if it's entirely in the main character's mind. And then the remake completely got rid of that. So
exactly. But there's a specific reason, and I'll go into. Let me just zip through here, and I'll give you the overview here. So the team consists of, there's a physicist, Clive Revell, a famous British actor, plays the physicist. That's the team leader. His wife is along with him. Gail Honeycutt is the actress who plays that. There's a mental medium by the name of Pamela Franklin, who's very good in this. And then there's the physical medium. So you got 2 mediums. You got a mental medium. The physical medium is played by, the late, great Roddy McDowall. And he's also the only surviving member of the team that investigated the house 20 years prior. He's the only guy that made it out. There was another 4 or 5 person team, and he's the only guy who survives this. So they have to enlist him to actually take them back through the house because they're looking for scientific proof of life after death. And what begins as just a simple scientific investigation eventually descends into a fight for survival as the investigators seek to uncover the mystery of the haunted house, as well as keeping their own sanity and their lives in check as they go along. See, this is the amazing thing about this. It's not just the house has a very specific reason for being haunted. It's not so much a horror story, a boo scary story as it is a mystery. And why the house? So when you get to the end of the film, there's a legitimate reason why all this is happening, and it's solved. There's a mystery that is to be solved. It's like a Scooby-Doo mystery in a sense, but there's no, it's kind of like a live action Scooby-Doo, but there's no fucking talking dog, or Shaggy for that matter. But
right, yeah, and that probably would have pushed it a little into the comedy genre, and I don't think that sound like what they were going for.
No.
And definitely not unintended comedy like the remake of House on Haunted Hill. So
Exactly. Also, this is not, and I said before, I'm going to say this again, this is not a boo scary haunted house. This is not a jump scare movie. This film falls into its own category because it's elaborately constructed atmosphere that overwhelms you with feelings of unease and dread from the first moment you set eyes on it. This is a dead serious film. This is the one that crawls under your skin and stays there long after the end credits. Like I said, Matheson wrote the screenplay based on his own novel. He knew the source material. Richard Matheson wrote the screenplay that was based on his own novel, and he had to tone down some of the more extreme sexual elements of the book to even get the rating to do this as a film. But it doesn't lessen the impact of the film. Everything's kind of more of implied here that makes rather than actually shown. This is, I should say, director, of course, was John Howe. So basically, the exteriors were done in a place called Whitecrest Park, East Sussex. And again, it's atmosphere as soon as you see the exterior of the house. The interiors were done on a soundstage, and that's even more ominous. Now, we're talking like dark wood moldings, statues, barely lit passageways, cobwebs. I mean, really Haunted Mansion type shit, from the ride. This creates such a convincing interior that you instantly know that evil has long resided within these walls, even when there's nothing special effects-wise happening on screen. You don't even want to be in this film for 5 minutes, I should say, much less than the entire 95-minute running time. Like I said, there's not that many practical effects in the film. There's no boo scare thing. There's a couple good sequences, but most of this is performance and atmosphere. That's what sells the film. It's just dread. Literally, it's 95 minutes of dread when you watch this film. It is not, like I said, this is not like a roller coaster ride that people blow through and come out and say, woo, that was kind of fun, where you come out, exhilarated. This is not that film. Yeah. This is a dead serious film, and it is very scary just based on the set locations and the actors, inhabiting that space.
Well, I think you have successfully sold me on this film. I'm going to have to go look this one up. Do you happen to know if it's available on streaming anywhere, or would I have to go and get a physical copy?
It is. You're going to have to get a physical. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It is available on streaming on Amazon Video. So you can check it out on there. It probably is on YouTube. They have and you can get a DVD copy for like $6. It's actually very easy to get a hold of. And I highly recommend, yes. If you haven't seen a horror film until you've seen that, I will say that Michael Gough, Alfred the Butler from the early Batman films with Michael Keaton, is actually in this film.
Okay. So you're going to have a young Pennyworth in there.
A younger. He looks about the same, actually.
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe that's why he ended up working for Batman. He wanted slightly less trouble in his life. Without spoilers or anything for those people that now want to go and see this, do you happen to have a favorite moment or scene from the film?
Some of the practical effect scenes are really good, but it's the reveal at the end. It's the aha moment when you find out what's causing the possession, what's causing all the hauntings in the house. It's a specific aha moment. It's kind of a mind blower because, like I said, it's a mystery. There's a specific reason, and that's what I love about these type of films. I like it when the haunting or the possession is adequately explained. You get a lot of these stupid ass haunted houses where it's just generic evil. It's just shit flying around for no reason. You never understand like where it came from, where it's going, sufficiently. So, but this film actually has it has closure. The film actually, believe it or not, after they go through this entire ordeal, have closure. And I'm going to say I want to cite performance-wise real quick Roddy McDowall, who sells the whole thing. This is one of his best performances he's ever done. And folks, you can go research that. It's a really, really good, completely convincing performance of this man who's literally hanging on the edge of sanity. To have to go back to this house, which he barely got out to begin with. He is a class act. And this is, like aside from this and Planet of the Apes, and there's a couple other films that he's done, this is an underrated performance. Nobody saw this film. I think maybe not even at the time, and now it barely gets a mention. And so that's why we were doing this, and you said, give me your one best film. I could have done, 10 other ones that are easily that I remember that I know by heart. But this one, I always try to champion because not many people can really dig into really good horror films and really good haunted house films. It's a very specific genre. This is one of them. This is the one I consider.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking as you were talking about the fact that it's actually got a satisfying ending, is the fact that Scary Movie 2 actually kind of does it better than most modern haunting films, which is, as you just said, it is just evil. Oh no, stay away, evil.
yeah, with the creepy voice. Yeah, it's just generic evil, and that's why you get sick of. But there's a sense of closure with this film, and that's the great thing. And there's no after credit scene or nothing. There's no boo scary jump out at the last minute. This is, like I said, it's not a boo scare film. When the film ends, it's done. But you're completely satisfied at the ending because you understood everything that was happening, and so did the characters. And you kind of find that the character, you don't get ahead of the characters. They discover it as you discover it. You guys are together on that journey. So you're not way ahead of the cast. You're not waiting for everyone to get killed or anything like that. You're with them, start to finish.
Right, well, yeah, that does sound like a lot of fun. I will definitely have to look that up. And the only other question I had actually kind of is pointless at this point then, because I was saying, assuming there's no sequel to this film, would you want one? And if you would, what would you want to see happen?
Yeah, there was no sequel. We've seen variations on this. I always thought maybe this was a good one to get remade, but after like The Haunting, I think was remade. That kind of killed it for me because you take a classic one and they completely fuck it up. I think Owen Wilson got his head knocked off in that one, which was, I mean, come on. That was out of control. CG nightmare, and that's what I think what happened here. I think because you can't do this film today because it relies too much on atmosphere and performance, and a lot of these studios want the bang for their buck. They want the CGI ghost, they want walls exploding, blood flowing everywhere, and this is really not that film. So they would really kind of descend into that. And I think we'd be running into trouble. But as far as sequels, like I said, there have been variations on this where they've had sequels. The Conjuring comes to mind. Because these are paranormal investigators that go around to different areas, and investigate different shit.
That actually how I would describe it. Yes.
Well, spooky shit. We can go spooky shit. But...
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Spooky shit. So, well, okay. Let's assume that you want it remade. Can you think of anyone you would cast now to play these characters?
Oh, yeah, the key one is seriously the Roddy McDowall character. And that's a tricky one to do. I think Michael Fassbender comes to mind as of late. You have to have an actor that can kind of really disappear into character and pull off the insanity. And he's done some really good work. So
Yes, he has.
yeah. So yeah, he would be on the list. But anybody else there, pretty much interchangeable. You can go with all British actors. If they did it now, it would probably take place in America. The original novel was set in America. It was actually set in New England. And when they adapted this for the film, it was a British production, so it was moved to England, which actually works better in his favor. Honestly, the British accents and the exterior location in England that they shot at, and then the sound stages, works much better, I think, than it would have been a New England house, which we've seen before. Amityville Horror, I think, would be one.
Well, yeah, and also there are houses in England that are older than America. So, yes, if you're going for old spooky, you can't go much better than England.
No, you definitely can't.
All right, well, cool. I've got a film I need to look up later. All right, so how about we move from a film you really, really like into a film you don't? And I'm not even going to bother guessing the genre for this one because it really could be anything. There's a lot of bad films out there. So what have you gone with then?
You would think it'd be easy because our show deals with bad films every week. We end up flushing bad films. And honestly, this was actually a lot tougher because the films that we do on the show we use as just a baseboard, a basement level for a jumping off point on making funny and doing comedy from that comes out of that. So when it came to actually coming up with a real shitty film that I was really disappointed, one we haven't flushed, it was a bit more of a challenge. But I got to go with it's along the same lines. It's not a haunted house film, but it is kind of in that genre of monsters and scary stuff. 2004's Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman, okay. all leathered up. What the hell happened here? This is Stephen Sommers directed this, and I've liked some of his other stuff. Deep Rising, I think, is an underrated B movie. If anybody has not seen that, I definitely highly check out. It's a cute film, and he followed it up with The Mummy, which I thought was a pretty good reboot of The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser. Then, of course, they would blow it with The Mummy Returns. So when it came down to do Van Helsing in 2004, I was kind of jazzed up because I thought he was going to go back and do something like fun action adventure-y that we had in The Mummy. But no, this it completely goes off the deep end right off the bat. Including a ridiculously looking Hugh Jackman, leathered up with a stupid hat and coat like he's in a video game. And then, and tons of CGI and monsters. But I could forgive all of it if it was fun. But it also, what really sinks the film is actor Richard Roxburgh, who was in Moulin Rouge, who goes completely banana nuts in the role of Dracula. It was like doing a road show of Rocky Horror Picture. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, because Summers just told him to go do whatever he want, and he pretty much did. So he's in his own movie, which is hysterical to watch right off the bat. Kate Beckinsale didn't want to be there the entire time. She had issues with the costumes. She didn't like, and she should have been used to doing these type of stupid films coming from the Underworld series. She's terrible in this, and everybody else, even the entire rest of the cast is, there's a CGI Mr. Hyde at the beginning, and tons of CGI people flying around later on, and the Wolfman's all CGI. It's an insanely bad film, but this is kind of one of the films that I watch every now and then because I hope it gets better. This is one of these hope it gets better films. Like, you watch it a couple times, you think, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as you remember, and then you're like, fuck, it was as bad as I remember. Like, you sober up, and you're like, oh, and you feel robbed again because it had potential to be a really great launch for a series, and that's what it was supposed to be. They even went so far as Universal Studios here in Florida designed a ride system they were going to base on Van Helsing that actually became the Harry Potter ride here. They were using to say it was a Kuka arm system that was supposed to be for Van Helsing the movie. But when the movie fucking tanked, it was a $160 million budget. It only grossed 120 here in the States. Everything went south. So all the new films they were going to do, there was a TV series that they were going to do with it as well that continued on. And then, of course, the ride, everything got tanked out. So there, I don't know where to go. If you've seen the film, folks, you kind of know what to expect.
Yes, I remember watching this, and I think I was one of the people that, because I'm a very visual guy, I kind of enjoyed the style of it, and I paid less attention to the substance, of which there wasn't much. So
there was a cartoon, though. There was a cartoon on this, right? There was a short cartoon that the events take place before this movie. There was a stylized
there
cartoon
is.
that I think Hugh Jackman did the voice. That was actually better. Like, that I could have bought, like, visually. But yes, some of the visual stuff, you're right, and some of the weapons are fun. There's a Q-type sequence with the weapons, but god damn it, everything coming out of their mouth, and then and Summers just doesn't know how to stage proper action sequences, and that later on, like, it gets really messy between the blend of CGI and the wire work and the actors. Everybody's on a green screen by the end of the movie. It starts looking like a Marvel film, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, and I also think it commits the cardinal sin in calling the monster Frankenstein, because as pretty much everyone knows, the monster is called the monster. Frankenstein is the doctor.
Yeah. And they also changed Helsing's name from Abraham to Gabriel. They actually, I'm
not sure why.
Well, no, it was because Stephen Summers didn't believe that Abraham was an action hero's name. He didn't think the audience would buy that, so he changed it to
Gabriel. Okay.
Yeah, well, sir, you're talking about Stephen Summers, who's he went and didn't he do a G.I. Joe fucking movie? So his career is it's not doing too good. It's a mess. It really is a mess. But I wish I could recommend it to be a fun bad film. That's what I'm hoping for. I watch it again, not for it to be a great film. I watch it every now and then, and hopefully it'll get to the fun bad level, because we all have fun bad movies. This doesn't quite make it. It just doesn't stick the landing. It's close. I think it's close, but I think because Richard Roxburgh's fucking preening, like he's still doing Moulin Rouge for some reason, and some other elements, to see some of the CGI is badly composited, even at $160 million, it looks like shit. You start running into a lot of, that it cuts it short from being a fun bad movie, and I think that's where I'm most disappointed.
Yeah, I do think the problem with horror films is they almost seem to need practical special effects to really work. You've got films like the one that you were talking about earlier, or say The Howling. There's a load of practical special effects, and An American Werewolf in London. It's mostly practical, and then they only use touch-ups. And then you started to get into the early 2000s, and it was all special effects and barely any practical. And that's just, I think, pretty much the entire 2000s, there wasn't really a great film like that. I mean, I don't remember if The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was 2000, but that one was kind of my favorite of that genre of the time.
Of these type of films, I actually like that too. I didn't initially, but I've come back around to LXG, and I think it's a better film than people make it out to be. It does better than this mess. I mean, but it's along the same type of stuff, with a lot of CGI and a lot of compositing, with a unique take on classic characters from literature.
Yeah, and it's actually come from a graphic novel series, so I recommend people go and look that up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Pretty much anything except to see Van Helsing, I guess.
Yeah. But the problem is, what you're saying with the so much layered in CGI is you desensitize from that. There's so much, it has no impact on you when you see it on screen, because we're so used to it. Whereas in 1973, Legend of Hell House, which I'll mention, which has no CGI at all, when the practical effects happen, and let me tell you, they do, it's shocking. It literally scares the shit out of you, because it's practical effects, and it comes out of nowhere. Like, so most of the film is basically atmosphere and performance, and then it hits you with the practical effects, and not CGI effects, practical stuff. And that leaves a more of an impact, and that's why I have the images of I can remember specific, practical effects images from a film that was done in 1973. I can barely remember anything from this film, which was done in 2004, because it's just a big CGI, cum stain across the screen. I mean, it's, for lack of a better term. Or maybe that's the most accurate term you can look at. So, edit as you will, sir. Yeah.
Well, not 100% sure I can leave that one in. But you know what? I think I will. Sorry. Why not?
It is. Everything just starts to blend together. It's because it just doesn't have any impact. It's not layered. It's very soft, very malleable, but there's no hard edges to it. And I think that's why you don't remember stuff, like this.
Well, then, the only other question that I had for this side is, how would you specifically, if someone handed you this film and said, okay, we want you to fix it, what would you do?
Oh, practical. I think it can be fixed. I think the script needs some adjustment. Obviously, I would dial down Richard Roxburgh, just cast another actor as Dracula. He was a little too much on that. I think it needs more atmosphere. Again, more practical. I think, and again, I'm going back to that. But I think that could be achieved now. I think we have the technology. In fact, that's the computer software program that was used for all the CGI and this nonsense was the same one they used for Lord of the Rings. This was actually the first film since Lord of the Rings to use that software. So they had the technology to do it, and look how good Lord of the Rings holds up. I mean, because it's an amazing blend of CGI and practical and miniatures and all this other stuff. So that works. But when they got to here, they left off a lot of the stuff that they really should have used, that was used in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's so weird to me, like, remembering what I do about Hellsing, to think that Lord of the Rings and that film were made using the same software, because it's almost as if they didn't leave it to render enough.
Well, yeah, and that could be from budgetary. I mean, it wasn't 100. Now, where the money go is the other question. I'm guessing top of the line budget for Hugh Jackman and Beckinsale, because she was a hot property at the time. Maybe not so much now. Roxburgh was coming off Moulin Rouge, so he was in demand. So a lot of the budget went to that. And then a lot of it, I guess, went to that insane costume choices. So I guess they pissed away a lot of and those stupid weapons and all this other. Like I said, there's a fun. Also, it's not fun. I guess I should really mention that they try some one-liners of humor. What we needed was a lot more of that. If you can make this type of fun, it'll sell. Like LXG to a certain extent is kind of fun. Because there's characters in there to crack wise, and there's some fun stuff going on. So you kind of get behind those characters. But, man, if it's all dead serious, except for an occasional lame one-liner from Jackman, who can pull that shit off as Wolverine, but he can't do it everywhere. He's talented, but even he has his limits, I think.
Yeah, well, he's obviously working within the script that he has, so there's only so much you can really do. And especially with, let's say, big budget CG, like action films, there's not much you can improvise with.
And the problem is he was trapped between two roles, because he had to, during his day off from shooting this movie, he was still doing X2. He'd have to go over there to finish up the end of that movie. So there was a lot of bleed over, yeah. So they would like take his hair extensions out, and then he'd go do Wolverine, and then they stick it back on for this one when he came back to work on Monday. So and again, like I said, when you're an actor and you're not focused on just one specific character and project, when you have bleed over, when you're still doing other stuff, that causes a problem too. Because you can tell he's not really there for most of the movie. He's just kind of just standing on a green screen and doing what they're telling him. But he's not invested in that character at all.
Yeah, and it also might be as well, there are some actors who, they can be great actors, but they just can't handle standing in front of nobody and the imagining that someone is there. Even if you have someone wearing green from head to toe, holding a ball on a stick in front of you, like, you just can't. You need someone to act off of, and maybe he's that way. He actually needed someone there.
Yeah, he made it because a lot of time he was alone in a lot of these scenes where he was, the Mr. Hyde sequence at the beginning is completely CGI. Robbie Coltrane gave the voice for that one. So yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe some actors are just not built to do CG work.
Yeah, and obviously there's some CG and X-Men and stuff like that, but he is actually there with other people, so... Yeah,
he's got human actors. He's around, and everybody like him and Kate Beckinsale have no chemistry together in this film. Like I said, she didn't want to be there either.
Right.
It's a paycheck movie, and then Richard Roxburgh's acting for all of them, basically, because his performance is so over the top. I wish it was just fun enough I could just tell people to go watch it just to see him. But there's clips on YouTube, so if you want to just watch him giving a speech at any point in the film, that's kind of, and just leave it there. You don't have to watch the whole damn movie, because the movie's long. It's way over 2 hours, I think. I think it's 131 minutes or something. It's an insanely long film.
Yeah, for that genre and subject matter, 2 hours is too long.
Too long. Yeah. It could have been a great 95th. So yeah, I think there's potential there, and they've talked about remaking this down the road here, because they want to tie it into Universal's Monster Universe franchise that they're working on to have a Van Helsing component. So I'm all for it. Like, this is one of the few films that if they want to remake it, please, like, let's get some talented people in here who can crank out something decent. I'm all for remaking this one. Not so much Legend of Hell House, but this one I can kind of get behind, because I think it does have potential. I think there's a lot of fun here that's they completely missed the boat on.
Yeah, personally, I think get everyone from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen over into Van Helsing, have Sean Connery be teaching the Tom Sawyer character to be the new Van Helsing or something like that.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot you can do. And like I said, I'd recommend, if you have not seen LXG, give it a look. I think it's a lot better film than people made it out to be. So I did skip this one. Yeah, LXG I think holds up pretty well.
All right, so if nothing else from this podcast, we have a new horror film we need to see, and a suggestion to see something else instead of Van Helsing. So I think I think we've done well here.
Yeah, if you're a horror fan, please, Legend of Hell House. If you're a haunted house fan, please seek it out. Stream it online. I think it's $3, or it might be free on YouTube at this point. It's a $6 DVD. You can find it just about anywhere. I can't recommend this highly enough. If you really like these old type of films and these type of atmosphere films with practical effects, guys, no CGI, none. It's awesome.
Yeah, and well, I guess I'll make my usual recommendation when it comes to horror films. If you do like horror films and you like the tropes of it and films that slightly poke fun at it, do go and look out for Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. It is a brilliant film that both makes fun of and uses traditional horror film tropes in a way to make you think you know what's going on when you don't. So it's a lot of fun. All right, well, this has been a lot of fun. So thank you, Honor, for coming on. And why don't you just pimp your show out while you're here?
Well, first of all, thank you for having that. It's so nice to go on a show where I don't have to talk about a shitty film for an hour and a half.
No, just 15 minutes at the end.
I get a nice break from the sludge that I have to. It's always and it's a mistake. I'm not. We do the show, but we're not all that cranky. Actually, we're incredibly passionate, like Mr. Hawkins here, about film, all types of films. So, there's a lot of films we like. We don't just sit around watching shitty films all the time. We actually do enjoy a wide variety of cinema. We can get, and it's even better, like when you guys are listening and we're talking about how the passion that gets across for having these, for enjoying film and cinema. There's a lot of great stuff out there. There's a lot of crap, and you can join. And speaking of that, you can catch us at signalsoffury.com. The name of the show is Soiled Restroom Cinema. Myself and my lovely two co-cinematic flushers, Killeen Griffin and Nora Crest. Every week we get on board there. We find a crappy film that is streaming online in the bowels of Hollywood. We find it, we take it out, we play with it, and then we thematically flush it down the cinematic bowl, never to be seen again. You can also, like I said, go to signalsoffury.com. That's our home website. Home restroom, I should say, on the net. You can also subscribe to us. Please subscribe, like, rate, and review it to it. We got it on iTunes. We're on Google Play Music for you Android users. We're on Stitcher. Every other pretty streaming media outlet. You can check us out. We are on Facebook, Soiled Restroom Cinema. We're on Google Plus, Soiled Restroom Cinema. Follow us on Twitter at Signals of Fury. There you go. And make sure you follow Mr. Hawkins, too. His show is great here with BlokeBusters. We love. And Hawkins is over in our show. Yeah, this guy, he can't get enough. I got to slum it over here in this show, and then he comes over and he slums it on our show, and he kills it. In fact, what was the last one you did? You killed it.
The last one that I was on with Freebirds, yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't heard Freebirds, it's the episode before this one. It was just released. I don't know the numbers. 111, I think, episode 111. Go check out Mr. Hawkins, some of his stuff over here. It's great to have him on the show. I appreciate you having me on this one.
Oh, no, yeah, it's long overdue at this point.
When am I getting paid for this? That's all I want to know.
I never said that.
God damn it. You're going to have 30 minutes of silence then.
Yes, I think so. All right, well, thank you for joining us, Honor, and I'm hoping that this will be the start of a really cool little subset of Film for Thoughts that we do. So please do follow us on Twitter at BlokeBusters, Facebook.com/BlokeBusters. We're on Instagram as well. We don't really use it, but we're there. And we have a website, blokebusters.webs.com. And until next time, I guess. See you, folks.